But Gaza has shown us that the Ummah is one.
I think that's the exact opposite of what Gaza has shown us. That we are not a single ummah. We have failed you guys. We let 50,000 kids die, and all we did was talk about protests and boycotts. That's not how any of the prophets, especially our prophet Muhammad bin Abdullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, taught us how to think. So you guys are third generation Muslims here. You should have been inside the circulatory system of this country, performing better, calling the shots. In 1860, Jewish community was forced to live under the sewers, and we all know that. In one generation, they rose up and took over the world, and I'm telling you, they did an amazing job on the principles and the instructions of the Quran. That's the sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jal. That when a nation lifts its own self up, the divine help starts to come. And we are training our young Salahuddins that they are maghdubi alayhim. That's not what maghdubi alayhim looks like. This is what maghdubi alayhim looks like. Gaza is what maghdubi alayhim looks like. But do not blame Donald Trump or Kamala Harris or Mehdi Hasan or whatnot. Blame your own self. Start with me. Use these standards. You could have and you should have used these standards and given these little boys a head start. That we've done the grunt work, we've driven the cabs, we've done the factory work, so that you should have gone to Cambridge and Oxford. You should have written the foreign policy for not just Pakistan but for England as well. But we didn't. Okay, Salahuddin, wars right now are not fought with guns and gunships. They're fought with lobbies and networks, money and power. One, yeah, that's the disease.
Crime, drugs, Ferraris, Porsches, mansions, farmhouses. That vacuum is not just in the realm of the heart and prayer, it's in the realm of living.
And most of the mommies are talking about bills and pounds and dollars in front of the kids. And father is kind of disappointed and embarrassed in front of the wife for not making it that. So when most people do that, their kids, they mimic the psychology of the parents. So it's not the non-Muslims, it's not the Netanyahus, it's not the Americans, it is the daddies and the mommies.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما صليت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد اللهم بارك على محمد وعلى آل محمد كما باركت على إبراهيم وعلى آل إبراهيم إنك حميد مجيد رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters for Islam. I know it's cold outside, so I'm going to say my salams again, and I expect a bit more louder salams from you guys, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, my dear brothers and sisters in Islam. Alhamdulillah, Jazakallah khair for that. Firstly, a warm welcome to today's very important event titled Vision for Mankind. Abu Hurairah and Abu Sa'id al-Khudri, may Allah be pleased with them both, reported that the Messenger of Allah, sallallahu alayhi wasallam, he said, when a group of people assemble for the remembrance of Allah, the angels surround them with their wings. Allah's mercy envelops them. Sakina, tranquility descends upon them, and Allah makes a mention of them before those who are near Him. I pray that our gathering here today is of that, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentions us to those angels that surround Him. Ameen. Before we proceed any further, it is only befitting that we start this gathering with the beautiful words of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and I invite Brother Zubair to inshallah recite for us, inshallah.
السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته.
وعليكم السلام.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. وكم قصمنا من قرية كانت ظالمة وأنشأنا بعدها قوما آخرين فلما أحسوا بأسنا إذا هم منها يركضون لا تركضوا وارجعوا إلى ما أترفتم فيه ومساكنكم لعلكم تسألون قالوا يا ويلنا إنا كنا ظالمين فما زالت تلك دعواهم حتى جعلناهم حصيدا خامدين وما خلقنا السماء والأرض وما بينهما لاعبين لو أردنا أن نتخذ لهوا لاتخذناهم من لدنا إن كنا فاعلين بل نقذف بالحق على الباطل فيضمغه فإذا هو زاهق ولكم الويل مما تصفون وله من في السماوات والأرض ومن عنده لا يستكبرون عن عبادته ولا يستحسرون يسبحون الليل والنهار لا يفترون صدق الله العظيم. In the name of Allah, the most merciful, the most compassionate. Indeed, we have sent down to you a book in which is your mention. Then will you not reason? And how many a city which was unjust have we shattered, and produced after it another people. And when they perceived our punishment, at once they fled from it. Some angels said to them, do not flee, but return to where you are given luxury and to your homes. Perhaps you will be questioned. And that declaration of theirs did not cease until we made them as a harvest, mowed down, extinguished like ashes. And we did not create the heaven and earth and that between them in play. Had we intended to take a diversion, we could have taken it from what is with us, if indeed we were to do so. Rather, we hurl the truth upon falsehood, and it destroys it, and thereupon it departs, and for you is the destruction that which you describe. To him belongs whoever is in the heavens and the earth, and those near him are not prevented by arrogance from his worship, nor do they tire. They exalt him night and day, and do not slacken. Sadaqallahu al-Aziz.
Jazakallah khair, Brother Zubi. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make us of those that not only recite His words so gracefully, but also act upon accordingly, inshallah. Today's event has been organized by the Muslim Collab. The Muslim Collab, we are an organization dedicated to fostering unity and collaboration within the Muslim community here in the UK and around the world. At the Muslim Collab, we bring together influential Muslim leaders, thinkers and organizations to address the many wide-ranging challenges facing our ummah today. Our goal is to create a collaborative space where we can work through complex political, social, economic and cultural issues, always guided by our Islamic values and principles. We believe that by engaging in open dialogue and building meaningful connections across communities, we can confront these challenges with strength, clarity and unity. Whether it's advocating for social justice, addressing economic inequalities, or celebrating our rich Islamic heritage, we are committed to seeking solutions that not only benefit our community, but also contribute positively to society at large. And our approach is rooted in the core values of Islam: justice, compassion, integrity, and these principles guide everything that we do. Through our initiatives, we aim to amplify Muslim voices, promote understanding, and inspire active engagement in all areas of public life. Together, we can support one another and move towards a future where all members of our ummah can thrive with dignity and with purpose. And if there is anyone here today who feels that they can support our efforts or is interested in collaborating with us, please do reach out to us. We warmly welcome all collaborations, whether big or small, to help drive our shared vision and our shared mission going forward. Thank you once again, brothers and sisters, for joining us. Please do like, subscribe, and follow us on our social media platforms to be kept up to date with our upcoming events, inshallah. We look forward to an event filled with thoughtful discussion today and valuable insights as we work together to strengthen our community and build a united ummah for generations to come, inshallah. So on to the plan for today. To start off with, we will be having a panel discussion with our guest speakers, who I will give a proper introduction to very shortly, inshallah. Right after the panel discussion, there will be the superior psychology session that will take place. Right after that, we will have a questions and answer session, after which we will conclude with a dua and end the event for today. I've been told we need to leave this venue by 10 o'clock. If we don't, I'm in big trouble. So please, brothers and sisters, please do help me out. We have much to do, so let's get the ball rolling with the panel discussion. And the panel discussion is essentially a conversation between myself and our esteemed guests today. And to begin with, I want to introduce our first guest. It is a true honor to introduce our first guest, Mahbub Khan, an inspiring leader within the remarkable organization, Rerun, based in Luton. Rerun is a self-funded grassroots initiative founded by brothers in Luton, united by a powerful vision to uplift and serve their community through an unwavering commitment to faith and compassion. Their mission is to offer a meaningful Islamic perspective on today's social, cultural, and personal issues, creating a space for reflection, dialogue, and community growth. Brother Mahbub is the editor-in-chief for Rerun and has a voice that extends far beyond Luton. His insightful writings, featured in prominent publications, cover everything from local to international politics. Yet his work goes beyond politics. It speaks to the everyday challenges we all face, both Muslim and non-Muslim alike. And one of his recent articles was a heartfelt piece to the journalist Mehdi Hassan, exemplifies his thoughtful approach. He commends Mehdi's advocacy for Palestinian rights, while also questioning his endorsement of certain US politics that seem to prioritize power over justice. With over 30 years of dedicated service in the dawah, Mahbub brings a wealth of experience and wisdom. His tireless work engaging with non-Muslims and guiding them towards a deeper understanding of Islam reflects his patience, compassion, and commitment. He has also instilled these values into his children, who after studying Quran and Arabic in Egypt, are now carrying on the mission of dawah in their own unique ways, balancing their professions with their passion for Islamic outreach. Mahbub's journey is a testament not only to the power of purpose-driven work, but also to the possibility of living in the West while standing firmly by one's deen. His life is a proof that one can fully engage in daily responsibilities without compromising core values. And above all, that one can present Islam not merely as a defense, but as a true, hopeful alternative to the world's current challenges. Today, we are privileged to have him with us, and I am certain his words will resonate deeply, drawing from his years of insight, compassion, and dedication. Mahbub, I'm gonna go slightly off topic in terms of what I've got written down, and I'm hoping that Mahbub's not gonna mind me saying this, but Mahbub is a poet who melts the heart with his words, be it written or spoken. And inshallah, Mahbub has a book being launched very soon called How Gaza Has Changed the World, which I'm assuming is going to be on Amazon very soon, inshallah. So let us open our minds to the wisdom he has to share with us, inshallah. So that was the first introduction for our first guest. Let me move on to our next guest, inshallah. And it is my privilege to introduce our next guest for today's panel discussion, Brother Sahil Adeem, all the way from Pakistan. Sahil Bhai has made a remarkable name for himself by challenging audiences to think critically, break free from limiting beliefs, and develop a clear sense of personal and Islamic identity. Sahil Bhai has dedicated his career to inspiring people across Pakistan and beyond to reimagine what it means to lead with purpose and authenticity. His insights on leadership and personal growth are not just about improvement, they're about transformation. Sahil Bhai has gained a massive popularity on social media platforms through his speeches and live sessions, where he shares perspectives on human behavior, ethics, and the need for cultural integrity. He often critiques Western influence on Eastern societies, focusing on the importance of preserving our cultural and Islamic identity. His talks often touch on topics such as leadership, emotional intelligence, and self-awareness, and he encourages people to question their assumptions and societal norms. Our brother's approach is fearless, direct, and refreshingly honest, encouraging audiences all over the world to address complex societal issues and explore ways to become the best versions of themselves. Sahil Bhai is known for his unique style. He doesn't just deliver a speech, he sparks a conversation. So Brother Sahil, Brother Mahmood, a massive thanks and a Jazakallah khair for joining us today. Allah reward both of you. Feels like I've spoken for quite a bit, so please forgive me. But let's start the panel discussion, inshallah, which will be between us three brothers. And like anything else in the corporate world, whenever you have a meeting, they start with an icebreaker. So let's start with the icebreaker. And I want you guys to just say the first word that comes to your mind when I say the following words, inshallah. We'll start with yourself, Mahboob, and then we'll move on to yourself, Sahil Bhai.
Yeah.
Okay. If I can ask both of the brothers to just have the mic closer to your mouth, because otherwise no one's going to be able to hear you. Okay, we've got the tech team in.
I'll just, yeah.
Okay, so the first word that comes to mind when I say UK weather.
Very cold.
I actually like it here.
Oh.
I don't know why you guys are complaining about cold. It's not cold.
You've not been here long enough.
No, I've been here last time around, just about this October, November. That was cold. This time I don't know why you guys are calling it cold.
It's not been as cold as it was this time last year. So you've clearly brought the warmth with you, Sahil Bhai.
No, thank you.
So,
Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
Allah will stay over a little longer.
Inshallah.
Wither the winter.
Inshallah. The second word is world superpower. What's the first word that comes to your mind?
Vacuum.
Vacuum. Okay.
Vacuum. Really? Okay. What is superpowers? The deep state.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Interesting. Reading about that last night, actually, so that's very interesting. Next word, Muslim youth.
The future.
You know, I see things in colors. I'm just not getting a word out of this, but I see hope. Hope, yeah, hope.
Try a word, and then if you want to expand on it, by all means.
No, hope is. I mean it. I see hope, and I see kids, especially teenagers.
Alhamdulillah.
Yeah.
Look like it.
Inshallah.
I'm not going to congratulate this individual, but after Tuesday, Donald Trump.
You wouldn't congratulate him?
I'm not going to congratulate him.
Lost for words.
More than one, but I'll accept that. But Sahil?
I think Donald Trump is just a clear symptom of what we are going through. Yeah. Our confusion and dissonance in definitions. You know, because I see more Muslims supporting Donald Trump in America, and they're actually justifying it. And it's not just Donald Trump; it's what he represents. I mean, I'm not about any individuals. but what they represent. And I just don't know why most Muslims actually are skewing towards either one of these options. You know what I'm saying? This shouldn't have been a question. And it's become a very big question as to who they're going to support. And I actually, it's parcel of today's agenda that I actually brought. So people in England would be clear. Because I'm all about politics. I mean, I want Muslims to go into politics. Actually, so much so that we should have had a 2 billion people lobby by now. They have a 1,300 people lobby. We had 2 billion people. A 1,300 people lobby is dictating literally the way this boy right there, this 8-year-old, is going to literally define Islam. They're going to define it for him. And quite frankly, we are going to endorse that definition. And I'm going to show you how it works so that when you guys go home, you can actually see whether it is our son sitting here or somebody else. And I swear to you, this boy has a lot more potential than last of our 3 generations combined. You know what I'm saying 3? Because it is the 3rd generation Muslims who are in England right now. So this boy has got a lot of access. So if we can actually think that, there's a lot of hope between Democrats and Donald Trump and the red states and the blue states in America, trust me, we defined Islam wrong. It's not about America. We defined Islam wrong. And I'm going to show it to you so that, this panel doesn't get affected.
We will be going into a bit more detail, so you're here for that.
So Donald Trump is just another symptom of our confusion.
Confusion. That's absolutely fine.
Yeah.
And the young man that you're pointing at, he's 9 years old, Sahil Adeem, and he's my son. So please keep him in your du'as, inshallah.
Awesome. Salahuddin, that's a big name. Should live up to it. Big name. Mm-hmm.
So the final word of this icebreaker, and it's probably the heaviest word, Gaza.
I'd say a turning point for the Muslim Ummah.
Well, Gaza is another symptom of the cancer that you and I suffer from. Okay, it's another cell of cancer. It's another mirror that is showing the reality of what kind of Muslim I am. See what I'm saying?
So, Jazakallah for that. This actually, the last word, Gaza, it's gonna bring us into the first discussion point, which is about Gaza. Because when I was preparing for this, I thought to myself, it's actually shameful, disrespectful. It doesn't feel right for me or anyone else to have a conversation about anything else but Gaza. As we know, over 40,000 have been martyred, that we know of. Almost 100,000 are injured, again, that we know of. 1.9 million people have been displaced, the entire population of Gaza. And these are figures that have been made, according to the Lancet. We're looking into the hundreds of thousands, near to the 200,000.
3.8 million, actually.
3.8 million as in?
As in all the Palestinians.
Yes. Yeah, from
Yeah.
All the way back, yes, you're right. But one thing, Gaza's shown us many things, but Gaza has shown us that the Ummah is one. That Palestine is the Ummah's heart. And Gaza is the heartbeat for this Ummah. And Gaza has also shown us, and I include Muslims along with non-Muslims, human consciousness and resilience. And not only have many non-Muslims become Muslims due to this genocide, he has even made the non-Muslims question and think about the world that we're living in. It's a televised genocide that is, literally being shown through our phones. And an ayah of Quran that comes to mind is where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in Surah Baqarah, لا يكلف الله نفسا إلا وسعها. Maulana Maududi, rahimullah, he says that the translation of this ayah is, Allah does not burden any human being with a responsibility heavier than he can bear. And it's hard to pinpoint any positives regarding Gaza at this present time, or even the last year, or even the decades that come before it. So my first question to you guys is, and we'll start with Brother Mahbub, is what has been the standout points in relation to this ongoing genocide for you?
جزاك الله خير. اللهم صل على سيدنا مولانا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. As I said in your icebreaker, I think Gaza is a turning point for the Ummah, and not just for the Ummah. I think Gaza is a turning point for the whole world, and the system that will inshallah proceed from what we will get from Gaza, inshallah. I think to break it down, if you allow me, from an individual level, when I was growing up in this country, and even across the globe, many questions were asked is, where is the Iman of these Muslims? Where is it? You see Iman anywhere? We are finished, we are done, we are humiliated, we are broken, and every single negative connotation. By Allah, I swear by Allah, I have never seen the Iman of the Ummah in Gaza like ever in my life, ever. Bombed, raped, displaced, looted, annihilated, genocide, a dog set loose on a child with Down syndrome. And do you know their response? Hasbunallah wa ni'mal wakeel. This is the same response that Bilal radiallahu anh gave to the Quraysh. Ahad, ahad. So the first starting point when it comes to Gaza is to recognize that this belief is alive. Iman in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Iman in the Prophet ﷺ is live, it's clear, it's pumping, and it's only a matter of time. So that's my first point about the lessons we take from Gaza, or what we take from it. What else has it shown us? A lot of things. It's shown us very clearly that the world is not polarized into Muslim and non-Muslim. Actually, the world is polarized into the oppressed and the oppressors. There are only two camps in the world now. Those who oppress and those who are oppressed. Anything in between Gaza has diminished. And we see this through the support of Gaza by Muslims and non-Muslims. Furthermore, it has given enlightenment, it has given motivation for anyone with an ounce of humanity to speak up and not be bullied with the cancel culture. Not to be worried about the cancel culture the Western civilization has imposed upon the world. So the minute you say resistance, they say Hamas. The minute you say liberation, they say anti-Semitism. So it's very, very clear that the Ummah and the non-Muslims are very clear that they are not going to be taken with this cancel culture. The other thing that Gaza has made very, very clear, very apparent, wherever our political leanings are, that unfortunately we are an Ummah that has no shield. That we have no rulers, we have no one actually who stood up and said, I will take this mantle off the name of your son Sahil Adeem, and I will help and I will liberate. And I'm not talking, many people can argue on a geopolitical level, war may be impossible. But I'm not just talking about the issue of war. I'm talking about economic trade. I'm talking about diplomacy. I'm talking about closing sea airways, closing waterways. Nothing. Actually, just last week or week before, we saw an Israeli ship cruising along the Suez Canal. Okay? So this is very clear that this Ummah, what became of Gaza, no leadership. No leadership from the Arab rulers, no leadership from any Muslim ruler as such. And for my final point, it is the death of Western civilization. Absolutely broken the back of Western civilization. Anyone before this conflict had 1 ounce of or shadow of doubt that maybe the liberal world order is a just order, maybe the liberal world order is a fair order, maybe it's there for humanity, maybe it's the only way to solve our problems, no doubt about it now that the liberal system is in the grave and the last nail was Gaza. It has contradicted itself time and time again. Personally, I believe the Western liberal order became on a decline, probably from 9/11, if not before, it was declining. But Gaza has made it very clear any solution that's coming from that liberal world order, it's not a viable solution. They have compromised on human rights, compromised on international law, compromised on Geneva Convention. Actually, I can just list and list and list all the compromises. So when Mehdi Hassan supported Kamala Harris, endorsed her, I was compelled to write to him and say, how can you do this? You are giving life to something which is dead. And what is dead is the Western liberal order. And as Muslims, our mind should be clear of the colonial mindset to now not to refer to any other solution other than Islam is the only befitting solution, not just for Muslims, but for humanity.
Your thoughts?
Well, actually, I'd like to differ in so many points, but I totally agree with the core that there is no leadership. However, when you said that the Gaza is an indication that this ummah is one, I think that's the exact opposite of what Gaza has shown us. That we are not a single ummah. Sahil Adeem, we are distributed. We are many, many people. We're not a single nation. And it's your job to see why. And I'm going to actually, you know what? This is the corpus of what I actually brought. The bigger problem and, of course, the solution, that child right here, your children, they're the only solution because we practically have failed you guys. We have failed you guys. We let 50,000 kids die, and all we did was talk about protests and boycotts. That's not how any of the prophets, especially our Prophet Muhammad bin Abdullah sallallahu alayhi wasallam, taught us how to think and how to act. That's the exact opposite of how a Muslim behavior should have been as a group, especially mothers who actually are a source of definitions and inspiration to our kids and young ones. And wives who actually should have pushed the husbands far more and far stronger to do a lot more, especially in countries like England, France, and Germany, and America. I come from Pakistan directly. I'm telling you this right now. People who are living in majority Muslim countries, they're suffering from people who are living in non-Muslim countries. They're looking up to you guys. I tell you this right now. Pakistani, Indian, Bengali, Afghani, Iranian Muslims are looking at English Muslims. You're 4 million people here. There's a lot more that you could have done. Not right now. I'm not talking about right now. I'm talking about 40 years ago when you guys came in here. You guys should have been in stronger, more political, and more financially secure positions by now. We sent you here not to be on welfare and be okay with that. We sent you here so that you can rule the Muslim lands by sitting here, making money and making leadership and making politics. You tell me right now in Birmingham, how many kids or how many people, elders, old ones, that you can count on that they're going to make the next move or write the next article that anyone in America is going to care or change any legislation in the United Nations, let alone England. Nobody. I can name you 200 non-Muslims right now in England who are going to define, literally handwrite the foreign policies of Pakistan and India. I know a 23-year-old Swedish girl who's writing a thesis on the Pakistani foreign policy, a 23-year-old Scandinavian girl. You tell me, boycotts and the Suez canals where an Israeli ship is sailing, you know who's letting or making those sails filled with air? You and me, especially English Muslims. And I can talk about American Muslims and, you know, and Kamala Harris and Donald Trump and everything. But you know what, how many Muslims live in America? We're still smelling the boats from the immigrants right now, second generation right now in America. You guys are fourth generation. You guys are older than King Charles. Literally, you guys are way before King Charles. The subcontinent Muslims came here. He was not born. So you guys are third generation Muslims here. You should have been inside the circulatory system of this country. performing better, calling the shots. In 1860, the Jewish community was forced to live under the sewers, and we all know that. Only on Thursdays, they're allowed to come on the streets and do their shopping and grocery and go back under the sewers. In one generation, they rose up and took over the world, and I'm telling you, they did an amazing job on the principles and the instructions of the Quran. That's the sunnah of Allah Azza wa Jal, that when a nation lifts its own self up, the divine help starts to come. And we are training our young Salahuddin that they are maghdubi alayhim. That's not what maghdubi alayhim looks like. This is what maghdubi alayhim looks like. Gaza is what maghdubi alayhim looks like. Because we let go of our core 4 principles. And I'm going to show you what those are, because I'm not going to take more time just to answer a question and just hijack the whole panel here. But do not blame Donald Trump or Kamala Harris or Mehdi Hassan and whatnot. Blame your own self. Start with me. I'm not teaching my young Salahuddin that what is his role in the next 10 years. He's going to be 19, I'm telling you. He's 9 right now. If you do not have a plan for 10 years for young Salahuddins in Birmingham, you are the enemy. Netanyahu is not the enemy. Because I swear to God, Pakistan, Islamabad, if you cross the streets of Islamabad, you'll find out there's a 20-point difference in the IQ of a regular man versus you guys in England and Pakistan. You guys are way smarter. You guys are abreast of the world. In Pakistan, regular Muslims were yelling about Gaza and Palestine. They are, by the way. Can't even spot Palestine on the map. Muslim countries are not trained in global politics. You are born in global politics. Your kids go to school, they learn the map in the first day of what's going on, who's in power and why. In Pakistan, I can't even use the word like deep state. They don't even know who Kamala Harris is or Donald Trump. In Pakistan, they don't even know these terms. This is rocket science for them. That's why people like Nawaz Sharif or Imran Khan Zandaris, and in Iran and in Africa, whatever's going on. Otherwise, these people won't even make it. They can't contend for elections. These people, they don't have a resume to fight even for a local council elections in England. Use these standards. You could have and you should have used these standards and given these little boys a head start. That we've done the grunt work, we've driven the cabs, we've done the factory work, so that you should have gone to Cambridge and Oxford. You should have written the foreign policy for not just Pakistan, but for England as well. But we didn't. So boycotting is not going to help. I'm telling you this right now. Okay, we're able-bodied men. We're not born to protest. We're born to fight with our brains. Okay, Salahuddin? Wars right now are not fought with guns and gun chips. They're fought with lobbies and networks, money and power. You can be Abu Bakr Siddiq of Badr, sitting in the back seat of a car with your laptop writing little articles and making big moves happening in America and England, in Pakistan and in Gaza right now, in 10 years from now. That's how wars are fought right now. That's the new age. A Muslim definition doesn't change. We know the games change, but the rules don't. Okay? You hear me? That's awesome. A 9-year-old can understand this in England. A 19-year-old in Pakistan won't even know anything of what I just said. That's the difference. That's my reliance on you guys. I came here for a reason, with a purpose. I didn't come here to enjoy the weather. I swear to you, I need your kids. I seriously need your kids. Every Pakistani, every Palestinian needs your kids to perform now. They needed us, but we didn't. But we can't just keep crying about this, right? We need to do something about it. So, on the day of judgment, we all know, and I swear to God, we'll be asked the same question. We and Ali bin Abi Talib will be asked the same question. We and Umar ibn Khattab will be asked the same question. And we both know what they're going to answer. We know through their performance what they've answered already. So let's just prepare for the answer to the big question that day, okay? I'm sorry for taking that long. Apologize.
No, absolutely fine. Jazakallah khair to both the brothers. I want to tell you guys a story now. And I don't like telling stories in a shorthand way. And my wife who's in the audience, she can vouch for my long stories. And Allah grant her, even more sabr for dealing with these stories. When 7th of October happened, we all remember where we were.
Say what now?
When 7th of October happened,
7th, yeah, I know.
We all remember what we were doing, what was happening. We saw, we all remember the images that were coming out, but we also knew at the same time the disproportionate response of the Zionist state. When that happened, when 7th of October happened, I was on annual leave for the first week at work. And when I returned, which was on Monday, I decided to work from home. On Tuesday, I went into my office, and my manager at that time, who I will be calling Bob, he decided to have a check-in with myself. So check-in is basically, how you doing with work, any help you needed, blah, 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 boring corporate work. So we started our catch-up, and literally 6 minutes later, everything's finished. And I'm thinking in my mind, this was a really quick, catch-up. I can continue. What I had in mind was I was going to go get myself coffee, come back, continue with my work. And then all of a sudden, Bob puts his laptop to one side, puts his phone to one side, makes me put my laptop and my phone to one side, and he asks me, Imran, how are you feeling? And I thought, why are you asking me this question? I've already told you what I did during my annual leave. I start at 8 o'clock, he starts at 8:30. We've already had that catch up. And I said to him, Bob, everything's absolutely fine. Thank you for asking. He asks me again, look me straight in the eye. Bob, Imran, how are you feeling? At this stage, I've got a puzzled look on my face. I'm confused. Why is he asking me this question twice now? And I replied to him, I'm absolutely fine, Bob. Thank you again for asking, but I'm absolutely fine.
You were home?
No, I was in the office. He then, again, he's looking at me, and he asks me the same question again. But this time he adds, how are you feeling based on what's happening in the world today? Remember, this is literally a week later, after 7th of October 2023. To which point, I completely forget about the coffee, and I just open up to him, and I say to him, Bob, it's killing me, it's hurting me. My people, Muslims, are dying. And we ended up having, a hour-long discussion, a very fruitful one as well. And during that discussion, there's one thing that he said to me which still resonates with me to this day. And we still talk about it. And he asked me, Imran, why are the Muslim governments not helping the people of Gaza? And I thought to myself, I'm not going to say, obviously, the audiences are here to answer, listen to you guys. I'm not going to say how I answered it, but I want you guys to imagine that Bob is sitting between Mahbub and Sahil. And just to give you a bit of context, I've completely forgotten who Bob is.
Yeah.
So Bob is a 20-something-year-old white man. He is heavily tattooed. He's heavily pierced. He's got loads of piercings. But he's asking me, Imran, why are the Muslim governments not helping the people of Gaza? So I want you guys to imagine that Bob is sitting between you guys, and he's asked you the same question. Sahil, Mahbub, why are the Muslim governments not helping the people of Gaza? Mahbub, if you would like to answer his question.
Yeah, of course, Bob sees the world in a very clear way, where you have citizens and you have rulers. And whenever the right of a citizen is violated, a ruler steps in. This is how Bob is looking at reality. This is how Bob is seeing how things should work. how things should happen. And I would say to Bob, unfortunately, this doesn't happen when it comes to the Muslim world. And I would then explain to Bob why it does not happen is because, unfortunately, there was something called Balfour, and there was a post-Balfour construct that we were all split into nation states, and nationalism ate us up, okay? And therefore, being a certain identity superseded actually calling out for humanity and justice. And now wherever you look across the borders of Palestine, these rulers are never going to act because why? They do not represent the interests of the people. They represent their own interests. They align their own allegiances for their own worldly benefit, but they do not represent the people. And even to an extent that they can't even give the simplest response back, that they feel compelled that their colonial masters will actually put them back in their place if they even try to say something which is abhorrent to Western liberalism and the Western construct. The biggest disease, Bob, that the Muslim world is facing today is nation statehood and the post-Balfour construct, where everyone now from the Muslim world looks at the world from a nation state perspective and not from a perspective of unity. And Bob, you know this better than I do, that whenever there are conflicts around the world, Western nations gather very quickly, and we saw this in Russia, and we saw this during Russia's invasion in Ukraine. You had diplomacy, you had military, you had economics, you had negotiation, you had every single thing, the kitchen sink, thrown at Russia and Ukraine by the global village, if you like, by all the rulers of the Western world, and even some Muslim rulers of the Muslim world. But unfortunately, that is not the construct, that is not the thinking, and that is not the mindset of the rulers of the Muslim world.
Brother Sahil?
Well, here's the deal. You know, when there was a time when Rasulullah Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam spoke to the companions, and I want to talk to Bob about this too, just like this, that there was a time when Muslims who were in hundreds and only in thousands, not tens of thousands, but 2,000 or 3,000, when they conquered the world. So, Bob, I'm going to tell you right now the same question, and the cause of the disease was documented for us 1,400 years ago. The Prophet ﷺ said that you are in hundreds, and the whole world is beneath you right now. There will come a time when you will be in billions. Yes, he said billions. And you will be served like food on dining tables of the world, and you won't be able to do anything. The companions asked the Prophet ﷺ, "O Rasulullah, if we were to be in billions, what could happen to us that people will be eating us up like food, literally on the dining table?" Rasulullah ﷺ replied, he said, that there is going to be two things that are going to enter your psychology. Sahil Adeem, two things going to go inside the mind of human beings, Muslims. The companion asks, what are those two things that can happen to any human being? That they're going to be in billions, but people will be feasting upon them. Feasting. The Prophet ﷺ said, you will be going through wahan. Wahan, Sahil Adeem, is a word in Arabic. Wahan. Say it. Wahan. Wahan. Yes, wahan. What is wahan, Sahil Adeem? You know what wahan is? That's exactly what the companion said. O Rasulullah, we do not know what wahan is. What is wahan? So Prophet ﷺ said, wahan is the love of this dunya and the fear of death. When they combine, I'm going to show you, I've got a slide for this, of how it happens. When these two things combine, then even if you are in billions and billions, you're not going to be able to do anything. And people will feast upon you. Feast upon you. Literally, the word is feast, with forks and knives. So Salahuddin, make sure you understand. In the Quran, Allah says, it's not about Palestine, okay? In the Quran, Allah says, وَمَا لَكُمْ لَا تُقَاتِلُونَ فِي سَبِيلِ اللَّهِ وَالْمُسْتَضْعَفِينَ مِنَ الرِّجَالِ وَالنِّسَاءِ. Why don't you go and kill the oppressor when he's oppressing human beings, not Muslims, not min al-muslimina wal-muslimana, no, min al-rijali wal-nisa. So, in England, right here, from Birmingham, people who follow the Torah, make sure you understand that. They use the Torah. Same kind of verse, because the same God instructed them to go and fight for the oppressed. And you know where they went? They went to South Africa to fight the apartheid. They gave their lives, money, blood, and sweat. People who followed the Torah. They followed the Torah. They went to what? Non-Jews, non-Muslims, black Christians in South Africa. In hundreds and thousands of people, they riled up and rallied up. They threw away their money to help Nelson Mandela and their people, because same God wrote a book called Quran and instructed us to do that. But we're not doing this for our own Muslims. For our own Muslims. We are instructed in the Quran to help even if it's a non-Muslim, if he's being oppressed, go send your armies there. Go fight the oppressor. That's a mandatory condition. If you're not doing it, you're not a Muslim. Because anyone who says, I'm not going to follow a single verse of the Quran is not a Muslim. So how can we go against our own book? Wahan. Say it again, Salahuddin. Wahan. Wahan, yeah, that's the disease. Wahan. And you know what the big problem is? I'll tell you what the big problem is. The big problem is that most of the Muslims who go to non-Muslim land and migrate, they migrate for two reasons. And I'll slide for that too, don't worry, I'm not going to spoil the whole show. Most of the immigrants, they come for the love of dunya and the fear of death. I'm not saying you guys did that. So I know you guys came for Allah Azza wa Jal and Islam in England. You guys are good immigrants. But I'm saying most people do that. Okay? So when most people do that, their kids, they mimic the psychology of the parents. And most of the mommies are talking about bills and pounds and dollars and how less there are bills and pounds and dollars in front of the kids. And father is kind of disappointed and embarrassed in front of the wives for not making it making up to that pipe dream that, they had before they migrated. So the kids, they think that they're going to compensate for the failures of their father's vacuum that their father couldn't fulfill. They're going to make them pounds, them dollars, them coronas, and that enforces the wahn. You know what I'm saying? Salahuddin? Yep. So, Bob, wherever Bob is, to all the Bobs, even without the Quran, the non-Muslims aggregated and combined for Ukraine. Even without the Quran, people used the book of Allah called Torah and went to South Africa. Whenever there is oppression, everybody combines, joins forces, except the Muslims. Except the Muslims. So we have a problem to solve. We have a different problem, and we're going to have to solve that problem. So, Bobby, Wahan is the reason why Muslim leaders, Muslim people, are okay with the fact that our little daughters and little sons in Gaza are being butchered right in front of us. So it's not the non-Muslims, it's not the Netanyahus, it's not the Americans, it is the daddies and the mommies who are actually transferring their wahans into their kids. And I got it from my folks. They got it from their folks. So my job is to make sure my kids, they know that I failed some levels so that he wouldn't repeat the same mistakes. Now I know most Muslim leaders are not going to do anything, even if they wipe away, God forbid, Gaza from the planet. They're not going to do anything. But my job is to make sure that the reinstating the whole ummah starts from my own house, by my own kids. Because even if they take it away, Sahil Adeem, we're going to take it back, inshallah. Okay? Yeah, inshallah.
Inshallah.
So Bobby, I hope you got it.
I'll pass on your messages. Jazakallah khair, brother.
Yep. He's 20? Really? He's 20?
Late 20s. Late 20s.
See, Sahil Adeem, a 20-year-old boy is performing as the boss of your daddy. That's a 20-year-old boy.
Late 20s, not 20.
See, justification coming from daddy.
More towards 30.
Get it? Sahil Adeem? You got to perform.
Inshallah. Jazakallah khair, brothers, for your answers. I'm going to tell you guys another short story this time. I'll keep it short. The fact that the audience laughed, it means that they're engaged in the conversation. So, Jazakallah khair.
That's not why they laughed.
No, it's good. It's good.
Okay.
Right, the last time I went to Pakistan was all the way back in 2006. A very, very long time ago. SubhanAllah. My cousin, my mamu's son, who was maybe 6 at the time.
Mirpur?
Mangla.
Okay, I'm just sorry. That's like a Birmingham joke.
far.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Not
I was
far.
told to crack this joke. I'm sorry.
Not far
From Bradford.
Mirpur.
Yeah.
Not far from Mirpur. Right, I'm going to continue now. I don't want
Go
anyone
on.
interrupting me. So, one of the days where we're sitting down, we're talking, and my cousin, he comes up to me and he says, Fajan Imran, when I am older, I will get married to a girl from England. And after I marry her, I will move to England. And when I move to England, I will make loads of money in England. At that time, I laughed it off. But I remember coming back, and I was thinking about that conversation, and the fact that I've still thought about it, it still resonates with me almost 20 years later. And I was thinking about the people of Pakistan, not just my own family. And they've got this illusion of England being wonderful. That England is the land of opportunity. It's the land where I can make loads of money. Whereas we see our roads, and everyone will agree with me on this, being made of tarmac with loads of potholes, which is damaging our cars, they see roads made and paved out of gold. Where we see large trees sprouting nice leaves, they see these trees sprouting 50 and 20 pound notes. And the smaller trees, they sprout 5 pound notes because it's much smaller. So I've got 2 questions. One each. And this time I'm going to start with you, Brother Sahil, because it's down on my notes. How is England, specifically the West, viewed in the eyes of the Muslims of Pakistan today? Have a minute to think about it whilst I tell Brother Mahboob's question to him. You've lived your entire life in the UK. I would say, and please don't hit me, over 40 years? Alhamdulillah, you look much younger than that. You've lived up and down the country, similar places to where my father has lived, places like Accrington and Blackburn. People are thinking, where are these places? They're up north. They do exist.
Excuse me, brother, we are not came here to listen to you. We came here to listen to this gentleman.
And we're coming to that. And we're coming.
Yeah, it's
Whoa.
already too late. We just came to listen to this gentleman.
And we're coming to that.
Genius man.
And we are coming to that, inshallah.
That's listen, guys. This is I apologize for we'll be.
So I'm going to continue, inshallah.
Yes, please.
You've lived your entire life in the UK. If you were able to tell the people of Pakistan about the UK, what would it be? But Brother Sahil, please start the conversation.
Because, because you're born here, right?
Yes.
No, okay. So, I don't think most of the Pakistani boys are, they would want to marry a white chick, that's for sure. They would want to marry a white girl right now as well. It's all right if you do, but make sure you understand. Salahuddin, think. Okay, think what I'm about to tell you.
Salahuddin's Chachi is a white girl, by the way.
Where is the chacha? I want to see the chacha. Where is he? Is he here? Why would he be here, right? The pattern doesn't really add up. Thank you so much, sir. Good luck. So, boys, make sure you understand. Unless, and this is a written ruling, it's not my opinion. Most of you guys are Hanafi, I'm assuming. Abu Hanifa, you guys follow the school of thought? Hanafi? No? Okay. I was not trying to, okay, you know what, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. You guys are Shafi'is here. Okay, well, most of the Pakistanis are Hanafis, so that's why. Because he's talking about the Pakistani boy. Don't worry about it. It's all right. All great men. Okay. So, Salahuddin, think very hard about what I'm about to tell you. Make sure you don't forget this, especially the boys, because the girls are never going to forget about what I'm about to say, okay? I just know it's magic. Unless, the ruling is that unless the Muslims are ruling a part of that world wherever you guys are living, the Muslim rule is dominant in that geography. Salahuddin, for example, in England, the Quran is implemented, the Muslim rule is implemented. In that geography, in that piece of land, you are allowed as men to marry a Christian or a Jew girl. If a land has not a dominant Muslim rule, you're not allowed to marry a Christian or a Jewish woman. Well, the problem with that is because there's a sense behind the rule. If you're not in a Muslim dominant land, that girl's not going to go with you in that plane. You are going to have to go wherever she goes because she is from that dominant land. Hence, a Muslim man can only marry a Christian or a Jewish woman if Muslim Muslim rule is dominant. So Abu Hanifa said, Adam al-Khilafa Ummul Khabais. So unless there is a dominant Muslim ruling, this rule does not apply. Salahuddin, you get it? Yeah, not that you would want to marry a white girl. I'm just saying, you're 9. You won't even know how to fascinate about that, right? In about 3 years from now, it's going to come to you. Okay? However, the rule still remains. So now the girls are never going to forget this, whatever I just said. But the boys, you're going to go home and you're going to Google up, really? And then you're going to find that out. And I'm not saying I'm a mufti, but your cha-cha is going to redo a lot of things now. You have to. Because the rule does not apply on any piece of land on the globe right now. Especially Pakistan. So for all the Pakistanis who are going to watch this video, Pakistan is not a Muslim-ruled land. It is not a land, it's not an Islamic land. It's just, it's a land where, no, thank you. 3 people, just 1 coffee? Oh, it's all right, I'm not a coffee guy. So I hope you get the pretext before I answer the question. So the question was, why do Pakistani boys think like this?
No, how is England, and specifically the West, viewed in the eyes of the Muslims in Pakistan today?
Okay, listen, England does not really register in the current Pakistani youth's mindset. England is not even in the top 3 registries. Okay? It was when you guys came in the 70s and the 80s. And only in Mirpur, England is still and probably more all of Kashmir. But in Islamabad, Lahore, Karachi, and big cities, metros, England is not your top 1 destination anymore. And I don't even know at the time when it was, because I was not, doing these kind of surveys there. But now I am. I'm in the university. I'm in the schools. England does not call the shots on the fascination of any Pakistani boy or girl. Okay? They would love to come here because they just want to exit the country, right? They go to any port in a storm, right? So Pakistani would go to Cambodia, for that matter. Okay? So right now there's a big drift towards Australia because of the ease in going to Australia. Even though we all know Australia does not even make it to the top 20 in the hierarchy of the dominant countries in the world. Even white people won't even go to Australia. Okay? But we would, because we just want to exit the country. So for the pounds and the dollars and the whatever that people want to chase, they don't really aim for England. They will never say no to it, so don't get me wrong, but that's not your top pick. Your top pick is still America right now, and that is still the land of opportunity. England is not known as the land of opportunity in Pakistan. And you know why, Sahil Adeem? Because we didn't take the opportunity when the time was right. And you know what that time was? Daddy and his daddy. 2 generations ago, we didn't seize the opportunity. And it's the performance of the English Muslims. And I'm not dissing you guys. I'm not taking a shot at you guys. I'm as much of responsible as you guys are. But most Muslims in Canada, in Germany, in France, see how I'm not using the word England here, in America, they aim to go and live on the system. So when we see in Pakistan that most Muslims who are driving cabs, working odd jobs, making minimum wage, that does not really jive with the Generation Z. That Gen Z boy or girl, we fail to live up to that archetype of the hero. Okay, so those Gori memes and all of that stuff, that's old folklore right now. This is folklore, yeah, that is true, but that's not what the Pakistani boy is aiming for right now. I'm telling you this right now. And I'm not trying to boast about being a Pakistani and all that. They are aiming for the worst of the worst reasons, but this is not in the top pick. Okay. It was, by the way, Sahil Adeem, in the 70s. There's a big story, a lot of stories about Pakistanis landing on the ports and going towards areas where there are these kind of opportunities. Now, because of YouTube and because of the internet, general population doesn't think like this. I'm not saying that they're great people. They don't think about these things. They think about other problems, other things which are a big problem. Yeah. Yeah.
So can you repeat the question again?
Yep. Having lived your entire life in the UK, if you were able to tell the people of Pakistan about UK, what would it be?
Yeah, I think I just want to probably repeat what Brother Sahil said. Actions speak louder than words. Really today we should be addressing the guys with blue eyes and blonde hair who have sat here and say Ashhadu la ilaha illallah. And we should be addressing girls with blue eyes and fair skin wearing hijab who have said Ashhadu la ilaha illallah. What do I mean? We are almost now 4 generations into this country, but other than takeaways, jalebi, vindaloo, everything else, crime, drugs, Ferraris, Porsches, mansions, farmhouses, and the list goes on. Armani suits, Armani labels. Where is our representation from the indigenous population? If I just look amongst the men, there is no white revert. I might be wrong, there may be 1, 2. But it's not proportionate to our existence in the UK. It's not proportionate. Same with the side of the ladies. It's not proportionate. And therefore, the most fundamental purpose of anyone migrating from the Muslim land to non-Muslim lands, and I agree with Brother Sahil, Pakistan, we don't mean Muslim land, we mean it once used to be governed by Islam, it isn't now, but anyone migrating, the fundamental purpose should have been, I'm going to make dawah. I'm going to spread Islam. And today, by Allah, is the greatest opportunity for every single one of us today to speak loud. Our actions speak louder than our words. So I do want to address a crowd full of white, blonde-haired, blue-eyed men and women who observe Islam, wear hijab, wear jilbab. And just to set the record straight, my wife is white, she's a revert, she wears hijab, she practices Islam, she prays, and she's active in the dawah scene, and my daughter is active in the dawah scene. My sons have studied in Egypt, Hafiz of Quran, speak Arabic very fluently, got the best ijazas that you can ever think of. Between them and the Prophet ﷺ is only 32 narrators for ijazah. So you can live in the West and not compromise your deen. You can live in the West and uphold these values very clearly. And it's not values, I tell you now, for my brothers in Pakistan, it's not the secular values that these people want. It's not, they don't want just prayer. They don't want just, actually, a lot of discussion that took place between my wife in coming to Islam was the oppression of women in Western societies. How oppressed women were in Western societies. And I deal, a lot of my dealings in the dawah is with non-Muslims, is with blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. The potential is great. And for you brothers in Pakistan and sisters in Pakistan, what your view, if you ever think of coming to this part of the world, then it must be dawah. And the dawah should be very clear that it's not a dawah just to a secular Islam. Because the greatest crisis in humanity in the world today is that there is a vacuum by which people are seeking to fill. And that vacuum is not just in the realm of the heart and prayer, it's in the realm of living, society, injustice, inequality. How is it possible that you can buy democracy for 132 million today and be part of Trump's campaign, but yet when you walk on the streets of America, or even Britain, someone doesn't even have 25 pence to buy a warm coffee to keep themselves warm. This is the injustice of a man-made system. And these are the things that we need to speak about. So what do I have to say to my brothers and sisters in Pakistan is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us an amazing window to actually project Islam, and you should help by actually projecting Islam in Pakistan, and inshallah aiming to establish a leadership that's representative of Islam. So not only are you helping us just by saying, here, this is Islam, it looks like this is the zakat system, but we can point to a role model in the Muslim world and say, that's our role model. Not the role model who puts a Riyadh season on and pumps billions and millions into boxing, but turns a blind eye to Gaza. No, we want a role model. So my dear brothers and sisters in Pakistan, aim for a sincere leadership, struggle, and work towards establishing your sincere Islamic leadership in Pakistan, because you have great potential, untold potential, and inshallah that will be somewhere I can point to the people of the West and say, look, this is our example.